Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to begin, but I would love for you to sort out your headsets before we do. And I think mine is not working, so I would like a new one, please. There's no battery. Are yours working? Could I get a replacement? Okay, I'm told. Channel 1 is Arabic. Channel 2 is English. Channel 3 is Spanish. We are going to have all three languages because this is an international panel. Can you show some enthusiasm? Clap of hands, bit of laughter, fake laugh, whatever you're into, it's okay. All right, I'm good to go, which is great. Is everyone good to go with their translation in the headsets? You ready? Great, let's begin. Hello, everyone. My name is Eleni Giokos. I'm an anchor and correspondent at CNN, and delighted to be with you today. A really important conversation we'll be having, GCC and Latin America, new pathways for economic growth and strategic cooperation, given the geopolitical as well as economic confrontation that we're seeing globally between the big powers, the United States and China. A lot of countries are collateral damage in the process, but it has opened incredible opportunities to strengthen South-South cooperation in terms of trade, economic partnerships, and looking at what that means for the future. I'd like to welcome my fantastic guests. We've got Mr. Adel Al-Sanad, Director of the Americas Department, Secretariat General of the Gulf Cooperation Council. A big welcome to Alejandro Sánchez Pereira, Secretary of the Presidency, Oriental Republic of Uruguay. Welcome to Carlos Arturo Hoyos, the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, Republic of Panama, and Dr. Abdulaziz Sagar, Chairman, Gulf Research Center. Another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for my great guests, for a bit of encouragement of where we stand. Looking, and Adel, I want to start off with you, because looking at where GCC and Latin American cooperation stands right now, it's through trade, and trade has been really fascinating. In fact, the GCC has a trade deficit with Latin America, around $16 billion or so. The GCC supplies Latin America mostly with aluminium products, with plastics, electrical machinery, equipment, and so forth. And importantly, the GCC relies on a lot of agricultural products and a lot of critical minerals. But it's not just about trade, it's about economic partnerships. And Adel, I would like for you to tell me what that looks like right now.
Thank you for let me being here, and thank you for the organizer for this very important event. Why it is GCC and why it is Latin America. The Gulf Cooperation Council countries have made a significant strides in their economic cooperation and partnership with various countries and global powers. That's what makes us looking for Latin America. The Gulf region no longer seen as merely as an energy source. It has become an influence economic bloc with GDP exceeding 2.6 trillion and projection to indicate it's going to reach 6 trillion in coming years. This growth is different than the executive economic diversification program, such as the Saudi and Bahrain and Qatar Vision 2030, UAE 2031, and Oman and Kuwait 2035 and 2040. And also the Latin America GDP is more than $6.8 trillion was that what is expecting. The GCC is diverse. It is important from three main factors: the economic and financial strength. The GCC has some of the highlight financial reserve and sovereign wealth fund globally. It is also managed to the largest global investor in agriculture, technology, and renewable energy and ports. This capability makes it an attractive partner for Latin America, which is seeking a substantial financial for infrastructure, energy, and port projects. Also the food, energy and security, what you mentioned. Latin American countries are among the largest food exporters in the world, while the Gulf countries are major importers. Conversely, the Gulf, a strategically partner, major important, conversely, the Gulf's strategy partner in energy sector from oil and gas to renewable energy and hydrogen. This creates a complementary relationship with mutual benefits rather than competition with Latin America.
I mean, fascinating, and there's so many exciting things to explore, frankly. Secretary Alejandro, I'd like for you to jump in here. And Uruguay is really fascinating. I mean, you're 90% renewable energy. Yes?
Sí.
See,
Yes.
okay. And, you know, when I look at the potential of even deeper cooperation and partnerships with the GCC, there's a lot of things to explore. And I'm wondering what you're looking at right now. And you have some partnerships that exist, but where are you looking to strengthen those? And what are you doing here in Qatar? Have you had some interesting conversations?
Bueno, primero
First of all, good afternoon, everybody. It is a great pleasure for us to participate at the Doha Forum because Qatar represent in the whole world to sort out the problems. It's very important. This is one of the reasons why Uruguay is here present today, because we want to learn from the best experiences and because we live in a world that is changing rapidly, a world that has political conflicts and has bellic conflicts, and this creates transformations in the rules of interchange at international level. And of course, we need to construct new mechanisms that allow us to accelerate the cooperation and commercial interchange. Of course, Uruguay is just a small country. We produce food, but we have made high steps to be modern. And as they were mentioning, we have achieved a lot. 90% of our energy is renewable energy, because for the natural condition and geographical for Uruguay, because we don't have oil and gas. We are not as lucky as Qatar that has oil, so we had to invent some things. But this change in the world, this takes us to reflect about that we are creating a joint venture of initiatives with protectional systems that has generated some conflicts in the economical area. And for us from Mercosur, that we have an important initiative with the countries of the Gulf area since 2005. We have approved an agreement of economical cooperation, but it has been agreed. But we have not advanced much, not just for Uruguay, but for the region of the Latin America, but also especially for Mercosur, because to progress with the dialogue, because we complement each other, and also because we believe that we can advance together in this world so that we can generate a fair trade. So for the development of both areas. So in this sense, Uruguay has advanced a lot with some countries, like with Saudi Arabia. We have signed an agreement of cooperation, and tomorrow, so we have here actually the Chancellor, and we are going to sign 2 agreements with Qatar. One about interchange of information, and the other for protection of investment, because we need this interchange to create investment, because Latin America is a country that has a lot of natural resources and also for investment, innovation, and we can collaborate with the countries of the Gulf so that we can develop productively our continent, so that we can have mutual benefits if we advance in this direction. If I see your products,
Learn from you the 90% renewable energy thing that you got right. So I think round of applause for Uruguay in terms of what you've achieved. It's always fantastic to see a non-oil producer being able to crack the code on that. So, all right, we're on to Vice Minister Hoyos, and great to have you with us, because Panama is able to assist, facilitate 6% of global trade, and that's no small feat. You've been in the news lately for various reasons, but we'll touch on that in just a moment. What I really want to start off with, and I think it's quite pertinent, is where are you seeing cooperation? You, this week, have met with the Qatar Chamber, looking at potential collaboration and deeper economic partnerships. Why is that important? And frankly, this is a question that we all have to touch on at some point throughout the conversation. You know, Latin America with the Gulf states and the GCC geographically is difficult, but there's so many important partnerships that could be pursued. And in the current global economic and geopolitical context, how are you seeing the teaming up with Qatar and other countries here?
Thank you, Eleni. Strategically about its future, I would compare the current moment that we are living with 2007, when Panama took to a referendum the decision to expand the Panama Canal. The message that we sent to the international community was, we are thinking of our future. We are thinking of the next generations and how we can maximize what we get out of our most precious asset. Now, we're in that moment again because Panama is really thinking about the future again. The Panama Canal has very ambitious projects. We're building a gas pipe between the Atlantic and the Pacific. We're building a water reservoir that is going to guarantee water for the population and for the canal for the next 50 years. We're building another highway on the west side of the Panama Canal to further connect logistics. And we are taking into public bidding 2 new ports, one in the Atlantic, one in the Pacific. Now, where we see there's a massive opportunity is that in this signaling, we understand perfectly that those countries that have been successful at exploiting their resources and maximizing their output so that it further develops their citizens have the right mindset that we are keen on exploring together. So the discussions have been fantastic because we see that future development as being highly complementary. We feel there is a low-hanging fruit, not only in terms of what we can offer, what it is that Panama can offer the region, where we have 3 embassies and 6 diplomatic relations that are quite strong and getting stronger, is that we feel that at this time, where the GCC is looking not only for further investments, but is looking for further influence, that Panama is a perfect place in the Americas from which to set up. So I guess we will go back to our national motto, which is Pro Mundi Beneficio. So it means in benefit of the world.
So it's almost like Panama is a springboard into the rest of Latin America. That is how you're positioning yourself.
Exactly. So we are a country of mediation, like Qatar. Yeah. We are a country of transit, where we have seen for 500 years, it's not only from the Panama Canal. In the Hispanic era, it was the route of taking gold from the Peruvian mines back to Europe. Then in the 1860s, in the gold rush in the Americas, the railroad connected the Atlantic and the Pacific before the Panama Canal and took gold from the west coast to the east coast and people from the east coast to the west coast. And then with the Panama Canal, it really opened the world trade in manners that had never been seen before. And these 25 years of our management of the Panama Canal, we have shown the world that we are serious people, that we think about our future, and that we are committed to open collaboration with all countries of the world. And the GCC, I think, stands out as a region that we want to look forward to working together and closer with.
Fascinating. Dr. Sagar, I just want to say that the GRC is an independent think tank. You're based in Saudi. I know you're very vocal about a lot of issues, so it's really good to have you joining us today. And I think I have to ask you the geopolitical question on what we're seeing. Here in the region, you know, things have not been the same the last 2 years. We've seen geostrategic shifts. We've seen, you know, issues at the Strait of Hormuz, the Red Sea, and so forth. So we know what it means to deal with issues regionally, and we know how to overcome that. I think what we're seeing in Latin America right now is super interesting, specifically when it comes to Venezuela and the United States is doing right now. And I wonder, from a GCC perspective, when we're looking to deepen economic partnerships, and so forth, when you have these issues coming through from the United States, whether that deters or that creates opportunity. What do you think? Well, I know you're watching all of this very closely.
Well, first I'd like to welcome our friend from Latin America to this discussion. I think we have a lot of sentimental feeling toward the people there. We feel, we can communicate, we can talk to each other very quickly. Don't forget there is a 40 million Arabs origin inhabitant live in Latin America. So that's big number. They keep moving. And in fact, you have to say chapeau to the Qatar Airways and Emirates Air that they started the flight. It's a long route, but then going from the Gulf directly to Latin America, and that definitely have increased the number of tourism, trade, relation, and also we wish to see what I call more frequent shipping line coming, because if you look at Brazil to Sub-Sahara, when you look at the trade, because of the shipping line that work there from that area. But still, I think given the current situation today, we're almost close to $28 billion in terms of trade relation. Out of that, 3 countries are the dominant from the Latin America is the Argentina, Brazil, and I think Mexico. So that really makes it the total. But Saudi Arabia is almost 40%. And I think in terms of the focus, there's a focus on the field of energy, mining. Qatar also has been one of the big investors also in the mining industry. And Saudi Arabia, I believe in Chile now, they're looking at the copper there. And in Peru, they're looking at the lithium also, because we're becoming a large producer of automobile that use electrical battery, and that required a lot. Plus the other minerals which is there. So I think in terms of trade opportunities, still the room is there on the area of energy, mining, food security, and also livestock. Brazil is a big exporter of chicken to the region here, yes, and also some of the poultry there. So I think giving all of that, still it's not up to the level that we wish to see it, because we still believe there is a big room. And thanks to the GCC Secretariat, they have signed several agreements in terms of trade relation and agreement with the different organizations on the Latin America, and that will enhance and help to improve more in terms of that one. I don't think the geopolitical situation now in Latin America will have a negative impact. Maybe if the situation in Panama or in Venezuela, it may increase the cost of shipping. It may increase the cost of insurance. It may do this thing, but it will not stop. I think it will remain to be an attractive and interesting also market. It's a long way, but I think with all these new lines, with the new opportunities that it's creating, is becoming very attractive. And we are also very happy to see more embassies and more diplomatic entity are opening in the Gulf region here. Don't forget, in 2005, we had the Arab Latin American Summit. I think on 2023, we had the also in Saudi Arabia. The first one was in Qatar in 2005. 2023 was in Saudi Arabia, and we were very happy to see that relation, because, as I said, we feel we're close to each other. We can communicate well, and we can do things together. So we'll take it from there.
Yeah, you've really laid out really fantastic economic opportunities that lie ahead. I mean, according to the research I've done, trade between GCC and Latin America is around $29 billion. So there's huge.
And by the way, we do have a very interesting report at the Gulf Research Center on the Gulf-Latin America relation, which is quite useful. We'll be happy to share it with everybody here, that you can look at country by country and what are the subject there. But still, I think, as I said, 80% comes out of 3 countries. We still need the rest. We still need them to be involved, and we still need to do much more thorough research on country by country, on the opportunities, on the core competence in the area that we should look into it more and invest. I think we do have a lot of investment, capability that it can, push the economic relations stronger.
Brilliant, thank you. All right, so I think, Vice Minister, if you could jump in here, and I think we need to put this to bed. Panama Canal in Panama's hands. That's not changing. Sorry. No, I'm saying to the Vice Minister. Do you want? You can answer it, Dr. Sagar. Because and it's interesting because you're trying to maintain this neutral stance. You're very close to Venezuela. I mean, it's fascinating watching from afar what's going on. And we don't know how this is going to end, and we don't know what the repercussions are going to be on countries that are in close proximity, like Panama. It's a what?
Well, we are geographically very close to Venezuela, and that is true. Ideologically, quite far away. We hope that there is no instability in the region to the extent that we have seen previously, right? Panama has seen this firsthand, and it's not really good for anyone. Panama was the most vocal country in terms of the respect for the democratic elections held in Venezuela in 2024. Because of that, we decided to terminate our diplomatic relations with Venezuela. So at the moment, we don't have diplomatic relations, and our president, José Raúl Mulino, is on his way to Oslo to receive with Maria Corina Machado the Nobel Peace Prize. So we are committed to the betterment of the situation in Venezuela and in the region in general. Now, you started off with the Panama Canal. So I think you have seen the evolution of the discussions or the dialogue or perhaps the one-sided statements regarding the Panama Canal go lower and lower and lower, because we have been able to prove that Panama is the exclusive operator of the Panama Canal. There is no foreign influence from any country whatsoever, and we are committed to that neutrality. This treaty that we signed in 1977, that is still very valid today, and that we prepared for 22 years, we have shown the world in the last 25 years that we are committed to it, and that we are the right people to have this asset that belongs to the world and treat it accordingly. So the Panama Canal has to be neutral. It is neutral. We are committed to its uninterrupted operation. So we don't foresee that anything that will happen in the region will damage its operation and its logistics. And I think the first country interested in that is the United States of America.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Is there an increase in the risk premium? And do you think it's going to filter through into the rest of the GCC, where, it's going to be, for example, insurance costs, the risk profile, risk perception is going to increase? Or do you think it's going to be short-lived?
No, I don't think so. I think the GCCs they are masters at managing risk. No?
Yeah,
so
it's true.
The region has been very stable in general for business. We feel that what is happening now is a symptom of a disease that we don't want to take over the region. We don't think it's going to go that way. The region is coming back to the center, and we hope that is the course that we are going to take.
All right. Secretary Alejandro, I want you to jump in here. I mean, geographically very far, relatively, far from what we're seeing in the northern part of Latin America. But I really want to talk about something that Dr. Sagar, as well as the Vice Minister, had mentioned, is creating the right environment from a regulatory perspective, from a political perspective, and creating a safe environment for investment. And whether you feel Uruguay is primed and ready for that, and what things are you looking at from a regulatory perspective, if at all, to make it easier to invest?
Bien. Very good. I think that Latin America, more than the actual context that it's experiencing nowadays, is one of the few continents in the world where there are wars. There are wars all over the place, but not in Latin America, and that means that it reflects the tradition, the complex situation that has always achieved to sort out their problems in a pacific way, creating solutions, dialogue. Uruguay has offered always they have done their bit so that happens, because we want a continent with peace, with a stable relationship. That is what enables all the countries the economical development, because it gives also a good environment for the good economical relationships. Because if there is any conflict that alters the rules of the game, then they will not find the way to find investors. And I think it's important because Uruguay is a country that is open to the world. It is a democracy, that it is an uninterrupted democracy. So we have changed the government, and the government that has come back, that it is leader by Amanda Warsi, when we had to participate, for instance, in the agreement between Mercosur and the European Union, participated the old president and the actual president. That gives you an idea that beyond the ideology of each one, it is important the rules of the game that are clear so that we can go forward. I think that the word that is coming up is a word that is changing drastically, not just because we have energetical problems, but because there are difficulties to guarantee the food safety, but because there are disruptive technology that are transforming somehow the markets of the future using the AI, the biotechnology, biosecurity. There are several subjects that are putting in the table profound changes so in all aspects of the life. But the countries can have many virtues, but they do need two fundamental things in order to have security and development: energy and food. Energy is imperative to have the development, the economical development of the country, and of course food. We can have all the weapons in the world, but we need to feed our people. Therefore, I believe that the countries that have the possibility of cooperate in every aspect of the life to produce food, and in a general way, the countries of the GCC and the countries of Latin America, I think that we have the aspiration to have a shared future so that we can enable the development of both areas, because we complement each other, and hand in hand we can complement each other regarding the production of food, so that we have the levels of interchange in the high level, so that we can discuss the new technology, the disruptive technologies, the AI, so that we create new areas of knowledge. So therefore, I think we have a big pathway to follow. We are separated by a big distance regarding the kilometers, but we are joined. We are joined because we have the aspiration that we think in the development of our countries, that we want to manage the risk, and we can learn from this process, so to reach sustainability and durability to our countries. Thank you very much.
Okay, brilliantly put. And you know, the Secretary mentioned Mercosur, and I want to talk about that because I know the GCC has also recently signed up various trade pacts, memorandums of understanding, and how that's entrenching. This isn't just about a conversation that we're having. I mean, we're starting to see actual work being done in a big way between the GCC and Latin America through trade deals. Break that down for us.
3 days ago, the leaders of GCC, they had in their summit the importance of increasing relation with different countries and blocs. And as always on the ministerial meetings between the GCC, they are reaffirmed the importance of the Latin American and Caribbean countries. And that matter, the GCC starts to implement this decision with signing with memorandum of understanding or the framework agreement in economic cooperation between the GCC and Mercosur, and also the framework agreement between for economic and trade and investment between GCC and Peru. Also, memorandum of understanding for the matter of cooperation between GCC and Brazil, Mexico, Chile, Peru, and with ongoing agreement being finalized with Colombia and Dominican Republic. The aim of this memorandum of understanding is to facilitate the platform for cooperation, to hold expert meetings, exchanging views between the expert on the level of the expert, then we'll go to the level of ministerial level on trade and investment and tourism, then also holding a summit between the leaders of the GCC and leaders of the Latin America. So this what the aim of this memorandum of understanding that the GCC signed, and hopefully with this memorandum we'll have more engagement with Latin America.
Very interesting. Okay, Dr. Sarga, I want you to jump in here for me. You mentioned a few of my favorite sectors where you could see alignment, and of course the Secretary was talking about this as well, food and energy. We know we need food here. We've got the energy. I mean, it's a fascinating collaboration. But also importantly, I'm quite fascinated about the critical mineral side of things, where we're starting to see the GCC and frankly Gulf states really focusing on value-adding critical minerals and raw materials and rare earths. At a time where China is absolutely dominating the processing, 70 to 90% of the critical mineral space. Do you think that that's going to be one of the biggest sectors, would you say, in terms of collaboration? What is your thinking?
Definitely on the mineral, it's a big area. Yeah. And it's not only us. I mean, if you look at country, for instance, Sub-Sahara, Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia are all big investors in Sub-Sahara, and there are key areas there. They look at it. They look at infrastructure, telecom, food security, mining, and also the energy. But with the Latin America, and also, which is becoming very important, we understand the Chinese are trying to be independent from Australia. They're trying to expand their business activity and also their investment in the Latin American side on the mining, but also for us.
So you're saying there's a race that's on the go?
Well, it's because it's needed. It's needed for the future technology, for the AI.
But I'm saying, do you think there's a race in terms of who's going to have first mover advantage in Latin America to really entrench themselves between China and
I remember we did host a workshop about gold at the Gulf Research Center when the price of gold was 250. And today, when we look at what we have said at that time, after reaching 4,000, I feel very proud. I just wish that we bought all the gold in the world that we can. I think mining will be the key issue. And sometimes when we talk about silver, for instance, and Peru has a lot of silver. When we talk about silver, silver is part of the industry that you need it for industry. Copper is an industry. So there are many of those minerals that is needed for a specific industry, an important industry.
But you've got to get in line. I mean, the US also wants to secure those supply chains. Sure. I mean, you know,
we will split.
Frankly, Latin America has some leverage.
Yeah, but
who's going to give them the best deal? Frankly, that's what I would say.
We will split. With them. We will split. I was once in Miami, and I like it when visiting my son. He was studying there. And I went to one of the shop, and it's written outside, we speak English, because most of it was non-English speaking on that part of the world. So I think it's we can split and we can share.
But the thing is, it's actually, and this mustn't be taken lightly. If you want to be a partner in countries that hold these resources, you should go in with really good deals that are going to help. Sure. Grow those said economies and not pillage anymore, like we've seen.
And I'm sure those
countries
they are going to look at what are other advantages coming. Is this investment going to create another job for the people? Is it going to enhance logistical issue? Is it going to be used on a downstream side? And so, I mean, in Saudi Arabia, when we opened the investment for the international company on the petrochemical, look at everybody in petrochemical is in Saudi. All the big oil companies, all that one, because we have the raw material and we partner with them and we brought their technology and know-how, and we start to be one of the biggest, producer for, petrochemical. The same thing will happen, by the way, in Latin America. Once you have those mines and you have those raw material that is needed for a specific industry, the interest will be is to create a local content and a local manufacturing capacity that will be used also and then create an added value for the thing. So they will be the one who will determine, do I want an American or a Chinese or a Gulf or a British or a European one? It depends who's going to provide the country with the best deal.
I love what you said because it's so important to have beneficiation and value add and industrialization. Okay, are you going to be, do you feel that you're going to be forced to pick the best partner? Do you ever felt that way? Vice Minister? I mean, multipolar world, and I asked this question in my earlier panel, multipolar world, who are you aligned with, the East or the West? Can you be aligned with everyone? You know, whose technology are you going to eventually buy? Do you think we're in a point where when you pick economic deals, you're almost picking sides? Do you view it that way?
I think even when you choose neutrality, you're picking sides. You have to pick your own side, and you have to determine where you are going in the future and whose interests are more aligned with yours in reality, right?
Yeah.
They're not giving out land anymore, and as far as I can tell, we're always going to be in the Western Hemisphere between Costa Rica and Colombia. So our position puts us in a very specific state where we have to protect our underlying interests. We understand that we have one of the most important assets in the world. So we have to make sure that we leverage that asset to get the best for Panamanians. Now, of course, when you have a challenger, the incumbent needs to react. And we are seeing that reaction right now. Now, our hope is that since Panama is now known to all the world, is that more eyes will be put on Panama and that we will be able to benefit to the ground level and have our children grow up with opportunities that so far they have not had. Does this mean picking sides? I don't know. I think somehow we have managed to surf the wave very well. I think Panamanians have an innate ability to understand Americans, to debate with Americans, to get to good deals. We have gotten more through negotiation from America than any other country probably dream of, if you think about the Panama Canal. So we have a very deep historical relationship with them, and we are committed to fostering it as best as we can, making sure that our interests are the ones that are being protected and are being promoted. I think that is the main objective for us as a government, and we have to keep on that route.
All right, Secretary, I want you to give me a sense of how you feel. I think a lot of people would say the United States has turned its back on multilateralism, on free trade, injecting uncertainty into our lives and our world. Great opportunity to pick new friends, to engage in new partnerships. Do you feel pressure to align, pick sides? Do you feel that the one comes with the other?
Yo pienso que hay interés.
I think that there are geopolitical interests in the world that act in Latin America as they act in other regions. The important is to have a common view in Latin America and to have the best relationship with the rest of the sectors and powerhouses in the world. It is not necessary to choose because you can be a friend of all of them, because at the end of the day, what the world needs is that we have the friendly treaties, that each country defends our own national values, and that they foster their relationship with other countries as well. Therefore, it is not that we have to choose one or the other. And we live in a world that have learned after the Second World War, after they saw the horror that the humanity had created, to create a framework in order to dialogue and to sort out the problems in a friendly way. We have to defend the opportunity that we have learned 50 years ago, that we don't forget it in the future. Therefore, for us, it it is not a matter of choosing, but it's a matter of having the best possible relationship, which is of the countries. And I think that the countries of the GCC country, they don't just have oil. When we reach this beautiful city of Doha, and when we go through the streets, we see that more than oil, it's a country that, like Qatar and other countries of the GCC, they have just this very good resource for the well-being of the country, and we can see how they have defended their own identity and their culture. And we think that beyond that, in a world that the middle class of the world is located in Asia and Africa, the region of the GCC has also an aspiration that they think in a logistical way and the distribution way. When we see the prognostic of the United Nations that in the year 2050 we will need 50% more of food, one of the big challenges that the world has, it is about the logistic, and it is about the transport and communication. And I think the countries of the GCC play a very important role as per how the consumption is progressing in this area. And for us from Uruguay, not from always, the channel of Panama, the Canal of Panama belongs to Panama, not to anyone else.
Messaging, honestly. It's so good to have you with us. Okay, Adel, what are the current needs? What do we need to make this bigger than what it is?
We need a regular dialogue. Sorry.
We need a regular dialogue. Do we need more regulation? I mean, are you finding it's easy to do business?
That's what we need. We need regular dialogue. We engage the business sectors to meet together to find the opportunity to seize this opportunity, and also we need the policy maker to meet to remove these barriers. If we have barriers, we have a lot of opportunity. We have economic opportunity, energy opportunity, logistic opportunity. So when
to unlock those opportunities.
Yes, that's what we need. So regular dialogue is, I think, it is the key.
Got you. Dr. Sagar, do you want to jump in? What are the current needs?
Well, we need to explore opportunity, possibility. We need to encourage people to people. We need to encourage the business community, because they are the one who will develop it. They are the one who will take it a step further. Government is a regulatory body.
Because we're not lacking money in the GCC to invest.
No, but in fact, we
So
want.
that's fine, right?
No, we want the GCC to invest, and we want them to look at the opportunities there. But also, the government role normally is regulatory. They need to come with the best laws, regulation, facilitation that will encourage, because as a business community, as investment, they will always look where is the best law, where is the regulation, where is the transparency, where is the thing. So they have their own criteria. And if that criteria are met, they will go for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, fantastic conversation. Round of applause for my brilliant guests. Thank you so much for staying with us. Thank you so much. Thank you, gentlemen.